Hello, Linda here, and today I'm going to do a little journal chat with you, really like a monthly reset with myself when we need to prep for a new month. It's usually also a good time to reflect on what's been working well and what is problematic and what needs changing. So if you're looking for my journal catch up from January, by the way, if you thought that you missed it, I'm sorry to say that that video does not actually exist. I basically missed making it. I'm really cutting it close for February as well, and that's just life, right? Like sometimes things just get so busy, and as much as I want to be always like ahead of the game and pre-plan things, schedule out videos, post all of that kind of stuff, the reality is that I'm just hanging on. I am barely making it through. And if you didn't know, I am a mom of 3 and my youngest is just 6 months. So I have not been very productive in terms of work or personal projects. It's much like everything has been on hold while all of the everyday life kind of stuff is just flashing by. And perhaps it's just normal or natural to feel this way because if you're a mom, but even if you're not a mom, you might have friends or know people. There's just never going to be enough time to do all the things. And again, you don't really have to be a mom to feel this way. I think a lot of us might feel this way. I don't think I've ever heard of people just saying like, oh my gosh, I have so much extra time on my hands, I just don't know what to do with it. The reality is that there's just this never-ending list and growing list of to-dos and nice to-dos and I want to do. And at the end of the day, we just have to hope that we are able to prioritize properly and do the best that you can, right? So whether you have kids or not, we are all just, have a lot of things going on in our life and things that might take up our time and also take up our mental energy. I think sometimes we actually don't talk about this enough, that we might have, quote unquote, time after work or after responsibilities technically, but we might be so mentally drained or emotionally drained. It's just really hard to get motivated and actually do the things that are on your list, right? Even if you want to, like you intend, like it would be nice, but you just don't get to it. So even if things are fun and creative projects and you want to do them, it's just not always, easy to get them done. So I have had many, goals set out for 2023, and granted, I did plan that I would have very little time given that I'm taking care of a newborn. And, I knew that I was going to be busy, and I gave myself very limited hours, like, in a day. And am I going to be able to get even, 4 hours of, quote unquote, work time or productive time? And it just has turned out the reality, like after January and now February, that I have even less time than I thought that I would have in already being conservative in my planning. So I just really have barely any time to pursue any kind of like cohesive creative project. So that's why I'm feeling obviously very anxious, like very wistful. Is that the right word? Like I might actually be feeding the baby and I have, quote unquote time that I could be doing something, but you're just not in the position to actually be physically maybe doing something that I want to do, and I cannot design while I do that. And mostly I am spending a lot of time scrolling on the internet and also reading, which is nice. That is something that is good. But I'm not getting things done like the other to-do things that require more physicality to them than having like a baby in your arms. So that is my general sort of state and how I'm currently feeling. Although I am happy to be somewhat on track with sort of the foundational type of journaling that I had planned to do. So I have a Midori 3-year diary, and it has been so fun to finally dig into it and fill it up. I have it totally up to date. I just started this multiple year diary this year, so I know that it will be so fun like the following year when I actually have entries to compare. I'm very much committed to this, and I've been keeping it up. It's on my desk. I just leave it there with the pen that I'm using, so it makes it super easy to jot down like the few sentences for each day. Next, I have my Hobonichi cousin, which is turning out to be more challenging than I thought because there are monthlies, weeklies, and dailies. And I use it for memory keeping, not planning. And that's just a lot to fill up. I feel like it's almost overkill. I'm used to doing dailies, but now it's just like everything. And I don't know how people do it. I have to... like in the monthlies, I basically don't put anything because I have no idea how I want to use it. I don't want to repeat things or be redundant. In the past, I have done like the random sticker a day, but again, I just feel like it's so random. So I don't want to spend time doing that if it's not like either super, super fun or has some meaning to me. Like I just don't jive with it that much. Maybe I might do like the monthly after the month and like do a highlight or like blow something out. Sorry if you hear baby sounds because that is my baby. So the weeklies, though, I have been keeping up with. It's sort of like just a plain archive, like a daily log of what we are actually doing and eating as a family, like where were we, that kind of thing. Much of it is very routine. I don't always match up the hours, but I have been keeping up with it. And I like that because it's so easy to forget. So it serves like a comprehensive log in case I get behind on anything else. Like I have that reminder of exactly what happened. So I can refer to this written out weekly that are sort of like bullet points. And sometimes I decorate like the borders and the extra areas because I don't need that that much space. But sometimes I have found myself adding commentary rather than being strictly like this is a factual log of events. So it does get like a bit mixed up. This is like new to me doing the weeklies in the Hobonichi cousin, so I am still getting a hang of it. But my point in memory keeping is for my family. So you'll see that in the dailies it is very like scrapbooky. So obviously it's still through my personal perspective because I am the one documenting, but I realize that sometimes I want to add personal things, or I don't know, just like I do hesitate at times to be like, wait, does this go here or does it not? So still trying to figure all of that out. I feel like sometimes it is a big mishmash, and maybe I shouldn't care so much and just do all personal journaling, because are my kids really gonna like want these 5 million journals that I'm creating? I don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Like I really just have no idea, and I don't want to put pressure on anyone where it's like these are so precious you must keep them forever for like hundreds of years, even though it would be nice. But in the end, I guess I am doing it for me. Because I like flipping through them. It's sort of like traditional scrapbooking, but not, because it's in a bound book. It's just easier for me. I do come from the background of like, back in the day when I had my first kid, like traditional scrapbooking pages, giant. It was just too overwhelming, like too many supplies, and I very much like the daily journaling kind of thing. Even if I don't have a thing for that day, the dated nature makes it, I don't know, it just seems more motivating. So you can see in the dailies, I put photos, I keep ephemera, I have journaling, and I definitely need to catch up on the journaling. It's a lot easier for me to print out the photos that I know that I want to add in, so I always usually do that first, print out the photos and stick them in, so I'm like I know where I am, and then I fill in all the journaling afterwards. So when it comes to my personal thoughts that I was talking about before, that sometimes I break out into commentary or I break out into subjects that don't necessarily have to do with my family, like it's just me, pondering and all kinds of things. Sometimes they're not really like time based. It's just me going off in my thoughts. So for random stuff, I actually use a pocket moleskin. This is an old weekly pocket moleskin, and I'm just covering it up, using it like an art journal. So it has writings, quotes, collage, ephemera, just like whatever. I use it for whatever. It is not necessarily like date bound or in chronological order. I just basically have freedom to do like whatever I want. I guess it's sort of like a commonplace book, or a creative journal or an art journal, whatever you want to categorize it. It's like my everything, anything. I think we should all have something like this where it's very much free from rules, structure, style, aesthetic, whatever. Like it's just the extra things so that we have a place to put all that extra stuff rather than it sort of rolling around in our minds, because I think that's one of the amazing things about journaling is to be able to like empty stuff out from your mind, and it doesn't have to be just writing, or it doesn't have to be just art or just painting or just doodling or just anything. It could be everything and anything. So I definitely like that. And when it comes to planning, and I say the word lightly because I don't really have a lot going on, I am using a Pocket Weekly, and this is from an Italian brand here called Legami, and I basically put in like birthdays, holidays, school schedules, kids' appointments, and the occasional like deadlines that I have, things that I actually like, I'm committed, like have responsibility to give to, turn in something or whatever to someone else that I actually must do. So I have those all in here. But like I mentioned before, it's been pretty stagnant, and I don't have any like extra things or creative projects, or not able to like plan the way that you would like to plan because of the fact that my time available is just so variable. Like when I think I might have a lot of time or not have, like, I just don't know how much time I have from a week to week basis. Like, it's very large range. So I have the things that I would like to do, and I just sort of go down the list and hopefully make sure that I get to everything. When you're not able to know how much time you actually have available, I think that it's just really hard to plan. You just have to put things in like a priority list, like order, and just go from there and see how much you can get through. And again, I feel like I sound like a broken record. I don't mean to complain. Not at all. Like, I love my babies. I love that we have time together, and that I am, privileged to be able to do this and this type of lifestyle. But at the same time that you're enjoying, motherhood and doing all this kind of stuff and life things, it doesn't mean that you don't feel lacking in other parts as well. Like at the same time, you miss things, you want to do things, there's frustration and all those feelings and emotions that come with it, in these different sort of chapters in your life, right? So I guess I'm giving myself a pep talk with these little monthly journal chats. I realize that this is a particular chapter in my life, and this is just the way it is. I've gone through, having kids before, and this different stages of when kids grow up and what they are able to do and what you are able to do while caring for them. And so it's just reality, right? So there are other journals that I touch sometimes, which are basically my TNs, because I have quite a few. I have the new diner one as well, and I have a video on that if you check my channel. I'm definitely behind on catching up, but I have collected the ephemera. That's like sort of the easiest part, right? So I always collect the ephemera, and I usually, sometimes I'm already sticking it in, and I will journal around it, just so that I know I won't lose it. So I have the diner one, which is for restaurant and food exploration kind of documentation. I also have this stationary TN, like the insert inside is all about any new stationery that I get or anything related to the stationery hobby, so that I get to document that and also immediately use anything new that I buy. I'm just sort of committed to like trying not to hoard. And if I do any shopping or get anything new, I'm going to immediately use it, so that it doesn't just get, stuffed in my stash and like there for years, because the time just passes and so bad. And same for my train TN. I use it to document our train rides. So have that. Then I have a little camel that I use for museum visits. Oh my baby, you want to say something too? I have a camel that is for museum visits, and we've actually gone like 3 different times with our kids already. So I just need to document it. I have all the tickets and stuff. And I have another camel that is for music documentation. And again, need to catch up. And they're just songs that either mean something or there's some story behind it, usually having to do something with my kids or maybe just for me. And maybe, sometimes I think about how maybe I should just put all of this stuff in my Hobonichi, right? And keep it all together in one place so I don't have so many different separate things. But I really like the idea of having themes, like themed journals, and seeing like the change based on one subject like over time. It's sort of similar to like the Midori 3-year or the 5-year diaries out there, is that you want to see what the differences or the change over like year to year, month to month, focused on a particular theme. It's just really interesting way to look at your memories rather than just chronological. If you guys come from the traditional scrapping world, you might actually know Stacy Julian and how she's like a famous, scrapbooker, and she taught a lot of people back in the day, I'm talking many years back, the alternative basically to chronological scrapbooking. Usually when we talk about scrapbooking, we're doing like milestones, life events, holidays. So like in a year's time, you've like scrapbooked all these different, dates and things in order, more or less, or you're always catching up. And the thing is, of course, you're going to be perpetually behind, because how can you ever catch up on life, right? Like, it's just happening. And Stacy Julian taught a lot of scrapbooking by theme. And I think she has like a specific name or something. I forget exactly what you call it. But basically, it's like you choose a theme or an aspect and then you scrapbook about it over time. And it's just a really cool perspective because it's a different way to look at your memories. Like, you might do something about, like, even if you were to do birthdays, like, imagine doing a very, like, cumulative, like, birthday, journal entry or something about, like, looking back in the past 5 years of a certain date, something like that. I'm probably not explaining this properly, but I think if you look it up, you will be able to find up, like, a lot of information. And in a sense, it's just, it's themed journaling instead of chronological journaling. And again, sometimes I think, like, why don't I just combine everything and put it in one? But I don't know, I'm my own worst enemy in wanting to do too much, right? I love it all. Can't help it because I want all the journals. So in other journals, I also took some business and design notes in this handmade journal that I have that is basically my education journal. Whenever I take a workshop or online class or something like that, where I want to take notes about art, design, that kind of stuff, I put it in here. And there's a whole bunch of other journals that I have in my shelf that you might have seen on the channel before. I definitely still have them. I have not abandoned any of them, but I just don't touch them on a daily or weekly or even monthly basis because I might be really behind. Like my media journal for movies and books that I have consumed, which I have consumed, like I've read a lot, definitely, but I just haven't journaled about it. And I guess I'm getting lazy. Like, sometimes you don't have that much to say. I feel like that with a lot of movies. I feel like I'm falling out of love. I used to be really big in watching things and talking about it and discussing, but sometimes movies are just like, you saw it and you're like, okay. And now you have like nothing to say about it. So, I mean, I guess I don't need to necessarily log every single thing that I consume, but maybe just the ones that I do want to journal about. If you have a media journal, like, let me know in the comments below. I would like to know how you approach it? Or are you one to just journal everything in one journal so you don't have to separate everything like me? Okay, so this is the end of my monthly update. Thank you so much for listening to my journal ramblings, and I apologize for the baby background noise. But it's just really nice to talk stationery and journals. There's no one really in my real life that is into this kind of thing, so thank goodness for the internet and like Instagram and communities, because, you know, no matter how little it is, I realize that if you look back, you realize that the little bits you did here, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, it does add up. So like at the end of the month, now that I'm looking at it, you know, I'm caught up on like my foundational things. I have a good amount done. I'm pretty up to date, and I just need to fill in some things. And of course, there's always catch up to do, but that is okay. So my progress is minimal, but it's still progress. So that's okay. So I hope you're doing well and having fun with your journaling. Thank you again for watching, and please subscribe to catch more of my journaling videos. If you, by the way, like to use digital printables, be sure to visit my blog, tortagialla.com, where I post basically all the freebie paper designs that I share, totally free. Just go there and download and print and use in your journaling. If you want to support me further, I also have a Ko-Fi coffee page where you can make a one-time like tip or donation, or even subscribe monthly, and I post a monthly pack of digital paper downloads there, so you can also support me in that way. So thank you so much, and until next time, bye.